Mara Serengeti ecosystem spans between Kenya and Tanzania. It is the world-famous site of the annual wildebeest migration, today known as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. One of Earth's rarest spectacles, the migration is a rotational cycle where numerous herds cross the Mara River in search of pasture. This migration is central to preserving and providing balance for predator and prey, flora and fauna in this majestic ecosystem. But this unique ecosystem is under threat. Climate change and intense human activity is quickly and negatively degrading the environment. The survival of this ecosystem depends on the Mara River, which flows out from the Mau Forest in Kenya and into Lake Victoria in Tanzania. According to TANAPA, the greatest single threat has been declining water levels.
The way the Mara River has been flowing has drastically changed. We've seen changes in low flows and high flows. When it rains, during the rainy season, the river swells. We have higher flows that we have seen than we have seen in the past. And during the dry season, the river has very low flows. Actually, it's reduced to a trickle. The Mara River is the only reliable source of surface water in the Mara Serengeti ecosystem. Looking at eco-hydrological models, it has been shown that if the Mara River flow goes below 1 cubic meter per second, wildlife in the Mara Serengeti ecosystem would crash to irreversible levels, showing that the Mara River is very important in maintaining the biodiversity of the Mara Serengeti ecosystem.
In 2009, the water level fell to below 1 cubic meter. The source of the Mara River is a catchment area in the Mau Forest. Without this forest, the river would no longer flow, distressing the delicate ecosystem. Kenya alone guarantees the continuous flow of this river and all the life that it supports. In addition, logging has spread, eroding riverbanks and reducing the water quality, leaving the Mara facing a combination of further long-term risks. The environmental, social and economic consequences of the Mara River drying up would be catastrophic. It would not only impact the iconic wildlife and biodiversity, but also the 1 million people that directly or indirectly depend on it. Another threat to this ecosystem includes mining and the proposed Mara Serengeti Road. This road would adversely affect the well-being of the wildlife in the Serengeti Park. WWF has worked in the Mara Serengeti ecosystem for over a decade to strike a balance that maintains the Mara River's water at a level that is enough to sustain human need, the forest, and its biodiversity.
And I think a balance has to be made between human activity and environmental conservation. One, how much land should we set aside for environmental conservation? In this case, how much land should we set aside for areas that provide us with ecosystem services, areas such as forests that are catchments for the river, and areas that are wildlife habitats like the savanna grasslands. And at the same time, how much land should we set aside for human activity?
In order to keep the Mara River flowing, WWF experts help local communities to adopt sustainable agricultural and irrigation practices.
In order to keep the Mara flowing, it's important to consider 2 things. One, to consider the environmental flows. This is to ensure that the river flows throughout the year, or what we refer to as annual flows. And 2, to consider the water catchment areas. And in this case, it's the forested upper catchment. That's the Mau Forest Complex. This is the source of the Mara River. It's important for us to work very closely with all stakeholders, from local communities who are the water users, private enterprises who are also water users, and the government, who are actually the custodians of these water resources.
Learning of the river water's value has led WWF to implement public-private people partnerships.
Integrated water resources management has to be carried out at all levels, starting from transboundary, national, regional, and grassroots. At the same time, we've learned that participatory approaches are the most viable for integrated water resources management. Bringing people from water, forests, agriculture, livestock, and all relevant sectors together in one table in order to map a way forward in managing water resources. We have also learned that strategic studies, such as the strategic environmental assessment and the environmental flows assessment, are important studies because they show a holistic picture in how to manage a shared resource. And they're important in that they give us ideas on how best to manage resources that are used by an array of stakeholders and users.
Together with the local communities and government institutions, they enhance the management of water resources, engaging in spring water protection to strengthen water bodies throughout the ecosystem. Other WWF programs aim to replenish indigenous trees, and with such guideline policies, they have already seen WWF achieve and gain the support of several local communities.
A major achievement has been establishing, activating and sustaining stakeholder platforms within the Mara River Basin. And these stakeholder platforms, I'm talking about institutions such as water resource users associations and community forest associations. These are associations that have actually been able to work with government through the mandated institutions to manage water and forest resources within their vicinity. Another achievement has been facilitating the development of various management plans and ensuring that benefit sharing features prominently in this management plan in order for both parties to accrue maximum benefits and as well as share the responsibilities, because benefits come with sharing responsibilities.
They also work with communities in the Mau forest to rehabilitate degraded sites and ensure riverbank protection.
We've worked with some partners and scientists to generate data that has helped us produce policy documents. These documents give us a framework on how best we can manage resources in the Mara River Basin. With the establishment of the water resource users associations and consequent building of their capacity, WWF has been able to actually document and share lessons and show that really these water sector reforms are possible and can be replicated in other river basins, nationally or even beyond our borders.
WWF also works in the Mara to prevent human-elephant conflict through its HEC project, additionally working closely with the Kenya Wildlife Service to protect and conserve the endangered black rhino. WWF's involvement with the tourism industry serves to protect the Mara River, the species dependent on it for survival, as well as to ensure that tourism in the Mara is sustainable and does not fall victim to its own success. In the Mara Serengeti ecosystem, people, biodiversity, the economy, and the river are inextricably linked.
Moving forward, I think the most important thing would be to consolidate our achievements over the past 10 years and ensure that we have called in more stakeholders, more partners. And in this case, I'm looking at a model where we have the public-private people partnership. It's very possible to work with all these stakeholders for us to realize our vision. And our vision is building a future where people live in harmony with nature. And I think working together with all this a broad array of stakeholders, we can be able to reduce the footprint impact we have on natural resources and ensuring that sustainable social development is achieved without compromising the state of our natural resources.
WWF is working to ensure these links remain mutually beneficial, halting the downward spiral through which the degradation of the Mara River could lead to the destruction of all that so heavily depend on it.